Hello, it's Caitlin. I'm back again with our week by week update about what's happening at Vendeve. So, if this is your first time seeing one of these videos, I should introduce myself. I'm Caitlin. I'm the co-founder of Vendeve. Vendeve is a business network for women entrepreneurs. And in these videos, I'm really sharing my own entrepreneurial journey week by week. So, I can't promise that it's always going to be pretty, but what I can tell you is that it's going to be an honest account of what it's like to start and scale a company. So this week is really just a regular old slice out of the entrepreneurial story. It was a week that started off on this great high note, lots of promise and opportunity. In the middle, I was breaking down and crying, and by the end, things were good again. So I guess it's probably just an average week. The week's kind of started out. One of the things that I do on a weekly basis is I plan my week on Sunday. So I actually think about everything that I need to do, I break it down, and I figure out exactly what the tasks are that require my time for that week. One thing that I don't always do, though, that I did this week, is I actually put a time estimate by every single task. And I don't always do that, but I thought, I really need to be productive. It makes sense for me to break things down and get a good sense of how long this is all going to take. Well, that was a big mistake because when I did that, what I saw was that just the must do items on my list brought me to 65 hours this week, which meant that I needed to be insanely careful with how I spent my time. So that was really kind of like mistake number one. So the week started off good. Then on Monday, I got some bad news. I was telling you last week that we were talking to an impact investment fund, and I found out this week that they are not going to invest. So Vendeve is a VC-backed company. We're raising venture capital to keep building out the network, and this was an opportunity that we hoped would happen, and it didn't. I don't know if it's because they don't see women entrepreneurs as creating impact or whether we just didn't fit one of their criteria. I'm still waiting to hear off for that, and I'll tell you when I hear. So that was a disappointment. And then, as the week kind of progressed, just everything took longer than I had estimated that it would, even though I'd added like a 20% flex time on every one of my estimates. So everything was taking longer, and by Wednesday, I was completely overwhelmed. I knew that there was just no way I was going to get everything on my list done. I knew that everything on the list had to get done and more. And by Wednesday afternoon, I just kind of had a breakdown. I started crying. I, just needed to pull myself away and try to bring myself together. And thank gosh for my sweet husband because he really bore the brunt of it. He came home. I tried to pull it all together and act all strong, and he could just tell that I was not in a good place. And as usual, he kind of pulled me back together, told me to smarten the hell up, gave me a pep talk, and I pulled it together. So then on Thursday, it was really kind of great fortuitous timing. I had a meeting with one of our investors and another mentor who was a prospective investor for Vendeve, and sitting down and talking with these two men. Both of them have built phenomenal businesses. Both of them are millionaires. And they were really talking about how the entrepreneurial journey is something that you just cannot do alone. And you really, really need to have people that you can lean on so that when you feel like crumpling up in a little ball, like I had the day before, you have somebody that you can reach out to, and hopefully somebody that's not always your partner, because your partner just can't take all of that. They're not the right person to share that with. Not share it with, but they're not the right person to put that on. You don't want your relationship with your partner to be focused on, your business. You want it to be separate in this beautiful, sacred thing. So meeting with them was just like a breath of fresh air. And it prepared me for a really great call the next day too. So some of you may know Kimra Luna. She's kind of famous these days. She went from being on welfare to making $1 million in her Freedom Hackers flagship program in a year's time. So you might have heard of her. She's the cool girl with the blue hair. She's really awesome. She's everywhere online these days. So I had a call with Kimra on Friday, and we spent 2 hours just hashing about what it's like to build a business, the ups, the downs, where she's going with her business. And let me tell you, she's got some really freaking cool stuff coming that you're going to love, and how she can align with Vendeve and how we can work together. So from that meeting, I'll kind of give you 3 tidbits where it was just the Kimra juju just was awesome. And it's there's a reason why this girl is such a superstar. She really gave me kind of 3 things that I took away from it where I was like, hell yes. Number one was you really need to build a team that can problem solve and handle all of the fine details of growing your business so that you can focus on the big picture. Now, for some of you that are solo entrepreneurs, this isn't an option yet, but what she said the number one thing that helped her to grow her business was being able to delegate away the tasks so that she could really focus on creating the relationships and strategic direction for the company. So that was like a clear indicator as to why she's been so successful. She's really invested in herself. The other thing she said, and this is probably no surprise for anybody who listens to Kimra, is to follow your gut and to take risks. So she came along at a time where the whole online entrepreneurship space was kind of like this cookie cutter place where this is the way you do it. You build your list, you create your blog, create your great content, your beautiful content, you tell your story, and that's how you build an online business. And Kimra said, well, I'm not going to do it that way. I don't want to write a blog. I don't want to invest $5,000 in a, professionally designed website. I want to figure out a way to do it my way. I want to talk to people. That's just my alarm going off telling me it's time to wrap up. And so what Kimra did was, well, everybody else was doing it this way. Everybody else was following the instructions, following the rules. Kimra made her own rules. And she did it at a time where it was absolutely necessary, and it's exactly what people wanted. What she did was listen to her people and block out the noise. And this advice just resonated so much with me right now because there's all sorts of rules about how you're supposed to build a tech company, rules that for the first little while we really listened to. And, we tried to follow them diligently. We tried to be a good student. We tried to role model the right behavior. But ultimately, when you listen to your people, sometimes what you're hearing is what they want is different than what, the rest of what the common standards are, and you really need to listen to that. So Kimra is a great example of listening to your people and ignoring the noise. Don't get caught up in somebody else's game. And speaking of rock stars who listen to their people, my friend Sarah Hart launched her web design program this week. I don't know if you have heard of Sarah yet, but you probably should have. She is unfreaking believable. Her program is the brand mapping method, and I literally was blown away when I saw her sales page. I showed my husband, and I've been explaining to him for a while what this whole being an online entrepreneur is and how you create this awesome digital content and what that looks like, but he hadn't really got it. And then I showed him Sarah's sales page. I was like, this is what it looks like to take the skill set that you have and to turn it into a product and to build a community around that product and to build a friggin' awesome business. And he was just like, yeah, that makes sense. I see it now. So check out Sarah's sales page just for inspiration for your own website. It's incredible. And if you're in the market for a new website, if you're just kind of like falling out of love with your website or you've never made a website yet, holy shit, like you are really lucky because of the timing. She only offers this once a year. So like check it out, and I can guarantee you that there aren't a lot of programs I can vouch for confidently. The ones that I can, I'm going to be sharing with you here on Vendeve, but Sarah's is one that is worth every frickin' penny. So check that out. And on that note, I promised last week to tell you more about the direction of where Vendeve is going. And Sarah's really part of that story. Sarah's actually been part of the Vendeve story since day one, before there was a Vendeve. And so I'm going to commit next week's video to telling you more about me and Sarah and our stories and sharing kind of the big picture for Vendeve. So that's it for this week, ladies. Like, to kind of sum it up, it was like riding a roller coaster the way it usually does feel as an entrepreneur. It was like you started off high, tears in the middle, and then you end on an awesome high note. And yeah, so that was my week. I also, just before I go, want to give a shout out to Sammy, who has volunteered to be the Vendeve community manager. You might have already interacted with Sammy on Vendeve. She's actually the #1 street cred earner of all of Vendeve. So if you go to the Find Experts page, she's the first person listed. And so Sammy, you are a rock star. We appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for that. And anybody who's looking for course design, this is something that Sammy does, and she is a specialist in it. So check out Sammy's profile. If you want to be part of the Vendeve journey too, we're looking for more community managers. So email me or just comment below and say you want to be part of it. All right, ladies, that's enough of your time today. I love you. Have an awesome day. Good Saturday. Bye-bye.